Badass of the Week is produced by High Five Content. It is Christmas Eve, 1746. Baron Frederick von der Trenck runs along the walls of Glotz Castle, sword in hand. Amid the sounds of alarm bells and the shouts of confused men, von der Trenck is confronted by a pair of guards who step out to stop him, their flintlock rifles at the ready. Von der Trenck dispatches both men with the ease of a skilled duelist. He is a decorated war hero, an officer in the Prussian army, hardened by battlefield experience. This is not the first time he has used his blade to defend himself. Von der Trenck waves to his comrade, Lieutenant Bach, to follow. The two men rush along the stone battlements, desperately searching for an exit. They are surrounded by the sounds of distant fighting, of men in battle, of guards yelling, alarms ringing, and dogs barking. Von der Trenck reaches the parapet walls first. He looks down in dismay. It is a 20-foot drop from the castle walls to the snowy ground below. Von der Trenck looks to Lieutenant Bach. Bach shrugs. The enemy is coming. There's no time. And this is the quickest way down. The snowbanks look deep, and from the ground, it's only a short run to the forest beyond. The two Prussian officers look at one another, nod, and jump. Hello, and welcome back to Badass of the Week, the show where we tell the badass history of badasses. My name is Ben Thompson, and I am joined once again by my co-host, Dr. Pat Larish. Pat, it is a beautiful sunny day here in Seattle. The birds are out. Everything is amazing. How are things in Boston today?
Things are nice. The school year started, and I'm enjoying meeting my students. Today was overcast, but still temperatures in the 60s. So I think it was a pretty pleasant fall day, all told.
Excellent. So what are we talking about today?
What are we talking about today? Are you setting me up for something?
I'm setting you up for something, yeah, because we had this weird confluence of things where it is your first week of school, and it is also last week was your first week of school, and it was also my son's first week back at preschool after having been home with me all summer. And so I feel very refreshed and liberated. I had a whole week to work on my own stuff. And so we're doing something a little fun today where I've prepared a story that you have done very little preparation for because you were busy with your students, which is very important. And I was busy sitting at home in my living room and just enjoying the quiet. Yes. So I opened up my books and, I just was able to, now that Brian's back at school, I have time to do the things that are important to me. And those things that are important to me are reading about Prussia in the 1740s. So.
Okay. So is that a hint that today's story is going to be about Prussia in the 1740s?
That is correct. So I think this is a good one to come in on this week. If we were going to do a week where I just prepared a story and showed up, we have kind of Jengar vibes with this, I feel like. But I'm going to come in with a story that you don't know.
But in the other direction.
Yes, I have a story that you don't know anything about. But also, similarly to Jengar, I think that for a lot of, especially people who've come up in the American school system, 1740s Holy Roman Empire is a little bit of a blind spot when researching history.
Yes. Yep. I know there's a joke that I've heard, the Holy Roman Empire was neither holy nor Roman nor an empire. And I don't know if that's actually, I'm sure historians can quibble with every bit of that.
Sure. Yes. So, I mean, for me, we have the French and Indian War, we have the, American Revolution happening in the 18th century. But around this time, there are a lot of wars happening all across Europe for a variety of strange and incomprehensible reasons. And, at least me growing up, and I studied a lot of history, this was always a little bit of an area for me. I was like, I don't know, all these countries were all fighting, and I don't know much about why.
For reasons.
Yes, exactly. For very important reasons, I'm sure. But it was has been a blind spot for me for a while. So I wanted to get into it, and I wanted to tell a fun story from it. However, I do think we can assume very little, I think we can assume that some of the stuff that we're going to talk about today might require a little bit of explanation. So hopefully this will be a good episode for today, because if there's stuff that comes up that seems a little odd or weird, and there's going to be a lot of that, we can maybe we can work through it together.
Okay.
Cool. So we are going to tell a story of sword fights and cavalry charges and escaping from prison and forbidden love and all kinds of being on the run, fugitives from justice, badass author at the same time. We're going to talk about one of the weirdest stories I've come across from this time period at this part of the world. It's a story that is very well known in the German-speaking world, but doesn't get out to the English-speaking world that much. We're going to tell the story of the Baron Frederick von der Trenck, and this is going to read like a Dumas novel or something. It's going to be it's a similar time period. It's going to be a lot of sword fighting and craziness. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about Baron Frederick von der Trenck. Frederick von der Trenck was born in 1726 in Haldensleben, Prussia. Now, this is a time where Germany, it was the Holy Roman Empire, and the Holy Roman Empire is now kind of becoming a bunch of different states and regions that will eventually become basically Germany and Austria. So there's going to be a lot of stuff happening here, a lot of location names that are non-existent anymore. But he is born in Prussia.
And Prussia, obviously it's in a German-speaking part of the world.
Yes.
So it overlaps with Germany.
Yes,
modern Germany.
Exactly. Yeah. So Prussia is, is going to become a very powerful German-speaking state around this time, and it's the Prussians who eventually mobilize for unifying Germany into one country. But this happens way before that. This is 1726. So Prussia at this time is still kind of an up-and-coming German state. This is, von der Trenck is born, obviously, with a name like Baron Frederick von der Trenck. He was born into a very prominent family that kind of traced its heritage back to the days of the Teutonic Knights. And, they've been German nobility forever.
And how far back do the Teutonic Knights go?
I think like the 1200s. They were fighting crusades in Livonia in the 1200s. Livonia being another region, one of these nebulous regions in Central Europe or Eastern Europe. But he was, his family was, Prussian military. His dad fought for the Prussian king, and Frederick wrote his autobiography. And in his autobiography, he very proudly notes that his father was wounded 18 times in battle in service of the crown of Prussia. And so a dad like that, he grew up learning how to do stuff like sword fight and ride. Also the more aristocratic, gentlemanly things of the time period. He could write, he could read, he wore fancy outfits. He was probably a very good dancer, things like that. He was all the etiquette stuff.
Maybe a little bit of Chevalier de Saint-Georges
Yes,
vibes.
Chevalier de Saint-Georges. There's going to be some Julie Doby happening here.
Yeah,
I feel like because he's fearless, he's strong, he's intelligent, he's brave, he's very handsome, and all of these things are going to benefit him in life and also get him in trouble.
Is he going to set fire to a convent?
Not as such. That has not been confirmed.
Oh, I was making a joke. Okay.
That was Julie Daubigny, but
That was Julie Daubigny, yeah.
he is gonna make some people upset in his life.
Okay.
Though she was well, we'll come back to this. She got in trouble for that. He's gonna get in trouble for some different stuff.
Good.
Yes.
I mean, good for the story, not good for the people he caused problems to, but yeah.
Yeah. So in the 1740s, he enters Prussian military service. He's only 16 years old, but that's just what you did. Instead of going to high school in Prussia in the 1740s, you get a cavalry saber and you become a cavalry officer. So this is the days where you can kind of buy your commission into the military. So he becomes a cornet, which is the lowest ranking cavalry officer, but he's a skilled swordsman. He's fearless, and he has a temper. He's a very hot-blooded guy. And I picture this is the time period where people are wearing very fancy military uniforms, very colorful. His uniform would have been white with a big red sash, big tall black boots, golden buttons, that kind of thing. The powdered wig, the white powdered wig.
Yeah,
that's that sort of time period. Probably a very cool hat. And he's a young guy in the military, and there's another officer in the Prussian army, a guy named Lieutenant Schell, who publicly says something about von der Trenck that von der Trenck felt was insulting. So rather than let it go, Trenck does what a lot of people are doing at this time period, what Daubigny and Chevalier de Saint-Georges were doing. And I mean, Pat, what do you do when somebody insults your honor in public?
Well, if it's this time period and you're this guy, I would imagine you challenge them to a duel.
Absolutely. You have to challenge them to a duel. This is why we wear swords around in public, so that we can fight each other and kill each other on the street. So
defending our honor with violence. Okay.
Yes. You can't say anything bad about me. You can't call me a hot-blooded maniac. I'll kill you. Okay. So, he's much younger than the lieutenant, and the lieutenant also outranks him in the military. So this is kind of a bold move to challenge a superior officer to a duel, but he does it. And not only does he hold his own against this guy who's much older and more experienced than him, he completely takes over the duel. He wounds Schell so badly that the lieutenant ends up with a permanent scar. And Schell concedes the duel. They don't fight to the death. Trenck, gets this reputation as this amazing duelist, this great sword fighter. And he starts to get the attention of the King of Prussia, who's a very bold person. This is Frederick the Great. So, Pat, how familiar are you with King Frederick the Great?
I've heard of him. I imagine he was great in some way. I picture him with really fancy clothes and a powdered wig, surrounded by Baroque composers.
Yes. He met Bach.
Fancy palace? Sorry?
He met Bach. Not Mozart. Yeah, it was Bach.
Okay. So he met Bach. That's that's a plus in my book, I'd say.
Yeah, he was a very well-known flautist. He played the flute.
Oh,
it was good.
Okay. So he loved music.
Yes, he was a music lover, but and he was styled himself as a military genius, and then walked it. He was a military genius. He's the reason why Prussia comes up and becomes the dominant state in the German-speaking world. But Frederick the Great is also a guy who relates to Frederick von der Trenck. They are both younger guys, hot-headed. They're talented. They're proud. They just go out and get the thing that they want. And Trenck is he's from this famous family, and he's doing well. He's winning these duels. He joins the military. He's performing well. There's a story early on in Trenck's career where he ends up helping Frederick the Great out with a situation he's having with his horses. So Frederick has this big stable of his own personal horses, all these prized horses. And there's one that they can't get it to settle down. You can't ride it because it's too wild. So Frederick von der Trenck, who's really prides himself on being great at horses, he's like, well, I'll take a shot at it. Let me give it a try. Trenck by this point has been promoted from cornet to lieutenant, and he's in the life guard, which is the personal bodyguard of Frederick the Great. So this is a very prestigious position, but he's also still a lower ranking officer and shouldn't be so forward as to be like, hey, Your Majesty, can I try to break that horse for you? Anyway, the king says, let's, you can give it a shot, but nobody else can ride this horse except for me, because I'm Frederick the Great, and I'm great, and you guys aren't the great, so I'm going to run you. So only I can ride the horse. And Frederick von der Trenck tries to tame the horse, and it's going okay. And then, of course, Frederick von der Trenck gets on the horse and rides it, and is able to kind of train the horse to be ridden, and then presents the horse, like on horseback, presents the horse to the king. Okay. Trenck says, yes, I did disobey the order, but I did accomplish the task. And the king, Frederick the Great, he's not super excited about this.
Yeah.
This
could go one of two ways.
Yes. So Frederick the Great is mad, but at the same time, you also did train the horse. So it's, despite your insubordination, he does kind of get the grudging respect of the king. And, this is kind of all right, fine. Ends justify the means, I guess, in this scenario. But be careful.
Keep your loose cannons close.
Yes.
Or something. What is he, loose cannon? Maybe he's a loose cannon. But he's good with horses and clearly capable of taking the initiative.
Yes. His respect for authority is questionable, but his ability is not. Okay. Now, in 1742, a war breaks out between Prussia and Austria. Now, there's a number of names for this war. It's part of the War of Austrian Succession. So we were talking about the Holy Roman Empire. That's kind of, at this point, it's generally like the German-speaking world. And Prussia's on the way up. This is a dynasty called the Hohenzollerns, and the dynasty before them, the dynasty in Austria, is the Habsburgs. And the Habsburgs have been dominating Europe for hundreds of years at this point. But
so the Habsburgs are Austria and the Hohenzollerns are Prussia?
Yes.
Okay.
So in 1742, the Habsburg king dies, and he doesn't have a male heir. He leaves his region he leaves Austria to Maria Theresa, who's his daughter, who is awesome. Maria Theresa is awesome. I think she's great. I want to do a story about her at some point. But Frederick the Great, he sees this as an opportunity to attack and to take some land and to improve his position and make his dynasty the more fancy dynasty in the German-speaking world. So right as this succession is starting to happen, a war breaks out. Frederick the Great attacks Austria and is trying to take this region called Silesia away from the Austrians. And whatever the rationale behind the beginning of this war, Frederick von der Trenck finds himself in the middle of it. He is a cavalry officer in the king's personal bodyguard and the lifeguard of the Prussian army, and he gets to fight the enemy. Great. This is the sort of thing that this kind of guy is really excited about. So he participates in the Battle of Soor, which is early on in the war. It's a big Prussian victory, and he's kind of front and center, with the King's Guard, performing heroically, sword fighting. This is like flintlock pistol kind of days. He's got a pistol, he's got a sword, he's fighting the enemy. And that's great. He becomes he kind of ends up getting in close with Frederick the Great. He's the bodyguard. He's awesome. He's this dashing, heroic figure. And that goes along pretty well with Frederick the Great. He's good at talking to people. He looks good in court when they're doing like the big fancy, balls at the palace. He's a good dancer. He knows how to do everything. He's charming to talk to. And
sounds like he's got everything.
He does eventually attract the attention of the king's sister, Princess Amelie.
And we can assume what sort of attention?
Romantic attention. She's 2 years older than him, and she's very taken with him. And whether or not there is an actual affair is basically impossible to prove, but it seems entirely plausible that they had a romantic relationship for a good period of time. And this ended up being kind of a headache for Frederick the Great, because rumors are getting around. Your sisters, von der Trenck's
going to interfere with like political marriages and
sure,
oh no,
all of that. Oh no, how are you going to marry her off now? She's got a boyfriend and he's a good sword fighter or whatever. And he's kind of, so they're continuing on this affair, this relationship. And Frederick the Great is not the kind of person that likes to be embarrassed. And this is embarrassing for him for whatever reason. And, on the one hand, I think it's kind of cool because von der Trenck is, he's told on multiple occasions to like knock it off, but he's risking everything for love, basically. This is a line that nobody would cross, and he's crossing it. This is like more dangerous than the duels and the battles he's fighting, because he does have it all right now, and the only thing that can stand in his way is this relationship, but he won't sacrifice it to fit in. So okay,
seems like it's not the sort of thing he could sort of fight his way out of.
No, definitely not. And around this time, this goes on for about a year, and in 1745, another problem arises for Baron Frederick von der Trenck, and it is his cousin, Baron Franz von der Trenck. Now,
oh no!
Yes.
Okay. Well, at least his name's Franz and not another Frederick. Okay.
I know it's not. Yeah,
Okay. So we've got our Frederick, and then he's got a cousin named Franz. Okay.
Yes. Frederick von der Trenck, Frederick the Great, and Franz von der Trenck. I know. It just always feels like it goes this way when we do an episode on here. But okay, so Franz is, what we've talked about a little bit when we were getting into the political intrigues behind the wars in this time period. This is kind of in some ways, it's a battle between succession war in the German-speaking world. And these noble families, like the von der Trencks, they get caught in the middle of it. Now, Frederick's dad, there's been this kind of arguments between Prussia and Austria, the Hohenzollerns and the Habsburgs. And Frederick's dad chose Prussia, put his allegiance behind Prussia, and fought for Frederick the Great's men, fought for Prussia, was wounded 18 times in battle, very heroic. His son has followed in his footsteps. Franz's dad, Johann, he picked Austria. He felt like he was slighted by the Prussians, and he left Prussia and he joined Austria, and he fights for the Habsburgs. So he lives in Austria now, and his son, Franz, has picked up his mantle and is a very prominent cavalry commander for the Austrians, who we're now at war with.
We're leading up to something here.
We're leading up to something. And, interestingly, Franz is this crazy maniac character. So Franz is a nut. He commands...
So this runs in the family.
Yes. Franz commands what's called the Pandours, which are they're from the Croatia region, but they're like Ottoman Empire style, cavalry, Croatian, Ottoman, Cossack style, cavalry soldiers who are extremely ruthless. They operate behind enemy lines. They do raids. They take no prisoners. They burn cities. They do all this crazy stuff. Just ransacking the countryside. Franz is their commander, but he's also very well respected in the Austrian court because he's also the same things as Frederick. He's a good dancer. He's well dressed. He's a patron of the arts. He loves music. He likes collecting art. And, this is one of these funny things about Europe in 1745. But Franz and Frederick, who are on opposite sides of this war, fighting against each other, they're also cousins. And Pat, this is the weird part, is that they stay friends. They write each other letters and stuff.
Okay. I mean, family's going to be family, I guess.
Yeah.
Or something. And it's like, hey, don't take it personally. This is just my day job or something. I'm just doing my job.
Yeah. I feel like there's this weird ability for soldiers at this time period to kind of distance themselves from the war they're fighting.
Yeah. Compartmentalize.
You see it in the American Revolution too. I did an episode on Banastre Tarleton, who was kind of this version, this kind of guy for the British during the American Revolution. And like after Yorktown, all of the officers get together after a big battle. All of the officers get together and have a nice dinner from both sides to kind of celebrate the war. Good war. Well done, you guys. We really fought a good war out there today.
Well, after a sports match, you shake hands or slap hands with the other team, right?
I guess.
Hey, good war, good war, good war, good war.
Like 10,000 people dead on the field around you, though.
Yeah.
Okay, so Franz and Frederick are writing letters to each other, and Franz buys Frederick an expensive horse and has it delivered to him in Prussia. And
oh, okay. Okay, so even though they're on the other side.
Yeah, Frederick loves horses, so Franz sent him a really nice horse. Franz is extremely wealthy.
Is this a horse that he could use in war against his cousin?
Possibly. It's described as like a very expensive horse is how Frederick describes it in his, a very fine horse is how he describes it in his.
A very fine horse, okay.
Yeah,
and Frederick is good at horses.
And he likes horses, and this sounds like kind of a funny gift, but it's like buying him a nice car. Like today that would be the equivalent of like buying him like a Ferrari or something.
Okay.
So, word gets back to Frederick the Great that the guy that, won't break off the relationship with his sister is also getting Ferraris from Austria. And
this is not going to go over well, is it?
This is not going to go over well.
Okay. Oh, no. So what does our Frederick do, or what happens?
So Frederick the Great accuses Frederick von der Trenck of illegal correspondences. He is arrested without a trial. He's deemed to be a spy for Austria, and he is sentenced to the worst place that Frederick the Great has access to. He is banished to Poland, and specifically.
Oh no! Is this a diss on Poland? No, is it a diss on this specific place in Poland?
Oh, yeah, I thought that would be a funny transition. We love our Polish listeners and everything, but this place that he's going to is not nice. He is going to the fortress at Glatz, which is a big, 18th century fortress, a big castle on top of a huge hill, surrounded by a city and a moat and like all this stuff. It is an inescapable fortress in the heart of Poland, and they have these huge ramparts. It kind of descends from the top. There's a big castle on top of this hill, and then there's just rows of walls that go down the side of this hill, and it is a maximum security prison. Frederick von der Trenck is sent there as a spy for Austria.
Yeah, I mean, earlier, Ben, when you said that the story has Alexander Dumas vibes, I can see that.
And even the Julie Domi, he didn't burn down a convent, but he did, he was sleeping with the king's sister after he was repeatedly told not to and wasn't willing to sacrifice. It's a going to jail for love kind of thing. Julie Domi went to jail for it, and now he is. So, okay.
And he's receiving fancy horses from the enemy.
Yes. Not okay. So he arrives at Glatz, and, he is nobility, however. And this is still this weird setup where, everybody's gentlemanly to each other, even though they're opposing each other. So when von der Trenck arrives at Glatz, it's kind of a white collar minimum security deal for him. He's not put in there with the general population. He's got a little special area for himself. He can kind of walk around. He can do what he wants. He can move around within the fortress walls. He's just kind of being held there under, gentlemanly arrest. So if you're Frederick von der Trenck at this point, you were the favorite of the king. You were riding his horses for him. You constantly tested him, and he finally has had enough of it and has put you in here. What do you think? But it seems like a timeout, kind of like a general, like a quiet admonishment. You should start doing what I want. How do you think a person like Frederick von der Trenck would react to that?
Well, you said he's good at writing. I mean, he could just compose poetry to while away the hours. He could reflect upon his shortcomings.
He does compose something. You are right. He does write something.
Is it a sternly worded letter?
It is a sternly worded letter.
No, really?
Yes. It is a multi-page angry rant about how he's been betrayed by his king. He says, "Your Majesty has condemned me unheard and without any cause. Your injustice will be known to the world, and history will judge you. A king may imprison..."
It's true. He wasn't given a trial, right?
Yeah, it is true.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. Continue.
Yes. The king may imprison a body, but he cannot chain a soul. Your dungeons may hold my person, but my spirit will remain forever free. I am innocent of the crimes you have laid upon me, and in the face of all of your power, I am still the freer man of the two.
That's pretty powerful, actually.
Pretty good, yeah. And knowing what we know about Frederick the Great, who likes to be called the Great, how do you think this is going to go over for him?
Oh.
This is one of those other things, very like 18th century Europe, where like you read it now and you're like, this is like a pretty powerful letter. But at the time, it was like a slap in the face. Like he was the most angry thing that he could have possibly said to this guy. And he gets gets reaction out of the king.
Okay. How does Frederick the Great react? Frederick
the Great transfers him into General Pop. Doesn't allow him access to he goes into Gen Pop. He doesn't get access to the quill and the ink anymore. Like he doesn't. No. He's getting thrown in the cells with the rest of the folks. It turns out also one thing that will keep coming up with Frederick von der Trenck as we keep going is that he's extremely unlucky. It turns out that the dude who is in charge of this fortress actually had been defeated by Frederick von der Trenck in a duel in a very humiliating way a few years earlier. And when the king's like, actually take this guy's paper away, the warden is kind of like, I can't wait. This is personal.
Is there any chance, do you know if Frederick the Great knew of this rivalry when he assigned Frederick to this prison? Or do you think it was just a coincidence on that end?
It seems premeditated, He might have installed that guy after, Frederick the Great is really tired of Frederick von der Trenck's attitude here. Okay. So von der Trenck is like, I can't stay here. So he immediately starts making a plan to escape.
He tried using his words, and they took away his writing privileges.
Yes. So now we're going to...
Plan B.
Maybe this is a problem I can solve with a sword.
Now, my guess is he probably doesn't actually have a sword at the moment.
He doesn't. So he starts making a plan to get one and fight his way out. Now, he starts talking. Some of the other people who are in here with him were also former Prussian officers. So he's put in here with other people who have kind of been hung out to dry by their superiors for whatever reasons. I mean, there's a number of reasons why military officers would be imprisoned, but these guys, he's in there with some of these guys, and he knows some of them when he arrives. So he starts making a plan with them to break out. Now, one of these guys is a lieutenant named von Gribben, and von Gribben rats everybody out and is like, hey, goes to the guards and is like, hey, these guys are planning to escape, and in like, as thanks for giving them up, von Gribben gets to go free, and all these guys get beat up and put into like a deeper dungeon somewhere further down in the fortress. All right, that didn't work out. Cool. This is another example of von der Trenck being unlucky. So, all right, he starts making another plan. What are we going to do? How are we going to get out of here? So he's good at talking to people, and he makes friends with a guard named Schell. And von der Trenck...
Is this the same Schell as the guy he dueled at the beginning of the episode?
No, that was von Schnell or something like that. But this guy's name is Schell.
Okay.
So Schell is just a guard at this prison, and he doesn't like being a guard there. And von der Trenck is able to kind of sweet talk him and say, hey, look, me and some other guys, we're going to break out. If you help us out, we'll take you with us. And Schell finally agrees. And on Christmas Eve, 1746, Schell unlocks the doors to von der Trenck's cell and gives him a sword. And now he's got an opportunity to try to escape. So Frederick von der Trenck is here at 1746. He's got a sword. He's got a guard who's going to unlock some doors for him. And he's got a group of other Prussian officers with him. And they, on Christmas Eve, they wait until it's night and they decide they're going to make a break for it. It's going to be a jailbreak. So they head out. They overpower a couple of guards. There's some stories of von der Trenck getting into sword fights along the way. He's fighting guards. He's running. They're opening locked doors. And as he's moving, this is a castle on top of a hill with a lot of walls down. Gets to one of these walls, and it's a 20-foot drop from where he is down to the bottom.
Yikes.
Yeah, big drop. And there's guards. The alarms are going. Some of the guards are dead. Some of them have just been overpowered. But he's got a sword. He's fighting. He's wounded or possibly killed some of the guards on the way out. This is a jailbreak. He's not going back into that prison again. And so he's up there with another guy, a Prussian officer named Lieutenant von Bach. And they look at each other and they're like, okay, we got to go. We got to jump. And so... So they
20 feet down.
They leap 20 feet down. It's snowing. It's cold.
Down.
They aim for a snowbank. I'm like, let's try it. So they jump, and von der Trenck is okay. He hits the ground and he's all right. But von Bach dislocates his ankle when he hits.
Oh.
And von Bach's like, just go on without me. You can get away. I can't. And Frederick von der Trenck's like, no, we did this together. You're coming with me. So fireman carries Lieutenant von Bach on his back and carries him into the forest in the snow with the guards and everybody chasing him. So runs with this guy on his back, carries him into the forest, starts carrying him through the forest and the snow and everything. Eventually, von Bach's like, I'm hurt too bad. Like something's broken. Like I can't keep going. And they're going to catch you. Like they're sending dogs. They're sending like the town guards coming out, like the neighborhood watch. Everybody's coming to look for these guys. And von Bach's like, you're not going to make it. You got to leave me. And eventually convinces him to leave him. So he leaves von Bach. Von Bach's recaptured. But von der Trenck escapes. He escapes into Bohemia, which is basically like Czechia. He makes his way to Austria, because he's got a cousin there, and the Austrians hate Frederick the Great.
Yes, yes.
Where else are you going to go?
Yeah. Oh, I have a question before we go on.
Yeah.
The guard that he sweet-talked into opening the door for him, that he got the sword from, do we know what happened to that guard?
Never heard from again.
Okay, well, okay.
We barely knew you, Shell. He's out of the story.
Okay. Okay. So Frederick von der Trenck, he with regret abandons his buddy Lieutenant Bach, and he escapes, and he's making his way across the map of Europe. He's in Austria, and then what? So
if you're von der Trenck, you're a fugitive from justice. Frederick the Great was already mad at you. Now you've embarrassed him even further. Where do you go now? He gets from Bohemia into Austria, where he knows Frederick's guys can't get him. So what's your next play here if you're this guy?
I don't know. Would you try to meet up with your cousin, the one that gave you the fancy horse that you might be on good terms with? Maybe?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay.
So he goes directly to Maria Theresa. And he says,
wait, the queen, the empress?
He goes to the empress, who is currently at war with Frederick the Great. He he introduces himself. He mentions his cousin connection, and Maria Theresa's awesome. And she's just like, great. Glad to have you here. This is hugely embarrassing for Frederick. I'm so happy that you came to talk to me.
Okay.
Do you want to join the Austrian army and help me fight the Prussians and the French, who are also allied with the Prussians? And great, he's in. Yeah, I'll do it. I will fight against Frederick the Great because I don't like that guy anymore.
Yeah.
We're no longer friends.
He imprisoned him without a trial. I'd have beef with them too.
Yeah, no kidding.
I mean, okay, he did behave badly. Frederick did behave badly and not listen to authority, but he was imprisoned without a trial.
Yeah, and like his crime was to like write letters to his cousin and like have a girlfriend that the king didn't like. That doesn't seem like a punishable, and write an angry letter, I guess, but none of that seems quite punishable by chains and cells, So okay, so he joins the Austrian army, and he is sent to Holland, where they're fighting. The geography here is always weird when you think about these wars, but the Austrians and the Prussians were fighting over Holland, and so he's dispatched to Holland. He ends up in the city. He fights a couple battles against the Prussians with the Austrian army, and he eventually arrives in the Dutch city of Arnhem, where he hears that there are some Prussian guys in town, and one of them is a Prussian lieutenant named von Gribben, who is the dude that sold him out when he mentioned that he was going to be part of the conspiracy to break out of that fortress. But von Gribben traded his freedom to throw everybody else under the bus. So von der Trenck arrives there and he hears this guy's in town. So he's there with the Austrian army. Like, where do you suspect that this is going?
Okay, this guy continues to surprise me. So is he going to, I don't know, search out Gribben and give him what for?
Basically. So he goes into town and challenges him in a very public way to a duel.
Of course. Of course he does.
And then fights him in like the town square, like surrounded by people. Remember that von der Trenk's a fugitive from justice here, wanted by the Prussian army, and he's fighting a Prussian army officer in the street. And he disarms von Gribben, wounds him, and then very publicly makes von Gribben give him all of his money and jewels and like basically like I want everything valuable you have, take it off, give it to me because I need it. I don't have any money. I lost everything because of all my estates got all repossessed by Frederick the Great. So amazing.
Wow.
Yes.
Just wow.
Mm-hmm.
I'm imagining he makes Gribben give him his fancy hat too.
His belt. I mean, I picture in the movie version of this, he's got to take his belt off, and leave town with ride off in just his boots or something. But
give me your sword. Give me your other sword. Okay, give me your dagger. Yeah, and the other dagger. Okay, yes, and the thing you have hidden in your pants legs. Yes, thank you.
And your horse and the buttons on your fancy jacket. I want those. And then, and this is like, imagine this in front of like a screaming audience of people, right? Great. So,
a screaming audience of people, and maybe there were other Prussian officers in the area.
And Austrian soldiers around,
might have an interest in this that might not be friendly towards Frederick. Okay.
So if you're Frederick the Great and this dude's running around, you got to do something, right?
Yes.
What are your options if you're Frederick the Great?
Well, you probably have a lot of options. You could send people after him. Would you send like a whole troop of soldiers or cavalry after him? Or would you send like assassin type people? I don't know.
More assassins. So, from this point on, like there's one story where he gets jumped by like 4 guys in an alleyway and they're like, Frederick the Great sends his regards. And of course, Baron von der Trenck being himself, he wounds 3 of those guys and the 4th one runs away and he's like emerging. Okay. Yeah. He's having to, like, it's annoying. He has to fight these assassins everywhere he goes, but at some point,
again.
Oh man. Oh yeah. Frederick, like, I know. All right, let's get to it. And eventually he gets a little tired of having to fight these assassins. So he goes to Russia, which is different than Prussia. He goes to Russia.
So he started off in Prussia. He goes to Austria, and then he goes west to Holland, and then he goes very much east.
Yes.
Like he overshoots where he starts, and now he's in Russia.
Yes. Okay. So he goes over to Russia. Around. Yeah, and like he's famous at this point. Like the more he is doing these exploits, the more he angers Frederick the Great, the more his fame grows. So at one point it was just like a hush hush, like I think him and the princess are together. And now it's just like the more Frederick tries to crush this guy, the more famous he becomes. And now when he rolls into Russia, he's just like a superstar. He's got the fanciest jacket he's ever had. He shows up. He's immediately like enters the service of the Russian army. He becomes a favorite in the Russian court. He's joins the Russian military. He's gambling. He's at the parties. He's doing all this, having just an awesome time in Russia, and becomes like very close to the royal family, becomes very close to like high-ranking aristocrats, just like the center of the social world. He's like 25 years old. He's handsome. He's dashing. Yeah. He's already like extremely accomplished.
That's his thing. He shows up in a country and he somehow becomes friends with the royalty there.
Yes. And in this case, he gets the attention of the Tsarina Elizabeth of Russia, the daughter of Peter the Great, who we've talked about before on the show.
Oh, okay. Yeah. He was a larger than life badass in his own right. So,
yes. And so he is not around anymore by this time period. It's 1740s, late 1740s. And Peter the Great is not around anymore, but his daughter is. And she is very enamored with the dashing Prussian military officer. And we can't confirm anything. I feel like this keeps coming up. We can't confirm anything, but it seems plausible that the Empress of Russia might have had a semi-long-lasting affair with Baron Frederick von der Trenck.
Okay.
So that's just this guy. It's what you said, right? He's just shows up somewhere. He's like, I'm like this famous celebrity. The next thing you know, he's talking to all the high-ranking generals and empresses and charming his way into the social circles of all of the aristocracy of Europe. He is extremely charismatic, and this is just working out great for him.
So yeah, I mean, at earlier points in the episode, Ben, you said that his life he has a lot of bad luck in his life, but it seems like it's balanced out by good luck.
Yes.
And charisma.
Yes, he will have some. Well, things are really good for him right now. Another thing interesting happens for him in 1749. His cousin Franz, the Austrian cavalry commander, he dies in 1749. He dies because he was brought to court in Austria on charges of committing 100 war crimes, and he goes to prison and is executed.
Oh, okay.
That's what happens when you commit 100 war crimes.
Okay.
The Austrians execute you. Or I don't think he was executed. He was put in prison and died in prison shortly thereafter.
Okay.
That's the official story.
And he's no longer around.
He's no longer around, but he's extremely rich. And Baron Frederick von der Trenck is related to him. And he says, I think I deserve a share of that money. I think I should inherit the estate because I am the only von der Trenck in Austria. All the other von der Trencks are still in Prussia fighting against you guys.
Okay.
So,
is his case persuasive?
His case is extremely difficult. And this was a part for me when I was researching this because I'm not a law historian. I'm not a lawyer. This is a very complex and weird legal battle that ends up happening. And it requires like the judicial systems of multiple European countries to get involved.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And yes.
That must be awful. Yeah.
Yeah. And so this is another thing. We've seen von der Trenck be a great fighter. We've seen him be resourceful. We've seen him be charismatic. And we see him be like cunning and intelligent here. He has to navigate the politics and the bureaucracy and the law system. But he comes up with the plan and he executes it. He doesn't give up on trying to inherit this land that he believes is his. And he kind of represents himself in court and is able to get permission to inherit this estate. And suddenly in 1749, he's like becomes extremely wealthy.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So he's like, is there any skill or ability he doesn't have?
So far, so good. Things are about to get a little sticky for Baron Frederick von der Trenck because Frederick the Great is still the king of the most powerful military and economy in Europe right now, and he really wants Frederick von der Trenck to pay for his humiliations. So I think let's take a really quick break, and when we come back, we're going to tell about what happens after that. Frederick von der Trenck is wealthy and successful and beloved. He's 28 years old and
beloved by everyone except Frederick the Great.
Beloved by everybody outside Prussia.
In
1754, his mother passes away, and they're going to have a big funeral for her in Danzig, which is in Prussia. Now, Frederick von der Trenck really wants to go see his mom, pay his respects at the funeral. He's kind of been used to this gentlemanly conduct amongst enemies that we've seen in the past.
Yeah.
Surely Frederick the Great would not arrest me for going to my own mother's funeral.
You would hope not. You would hope he would respect this show of filial piety and, duty to one's mother. And, it seems like it would be like contrary to religious principles to forbid this.
You'd think.
You'd think. And I'm guessing
just all the gentlemanly things that you're supposed to do if you're like an officer and a gentleman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing that this is not how this is going to turn out.
This is not how this is going to turn out.
Okay.
This isn't so much bad luck as just bad decision making. Frederick goes to Prussia and he's immediately arrested and he is thrown into a special prison. He's thrown into Magdeburg prison, which is an extremely unfun place to be. And not only is he put into the whatever most highest security fortress Prussia has to offer, he is put into a special little stone box that was specifically designed just for him by the King of Prussia, Frederick the Great himself.
Oh my goodness. They designed a special type of holding cell just for him. Just
for this guy. Super thick walls.
Oh, wow.
Not tall. You can't stand up in there.
Sounds awful.
Awful. No light, nothing. He's put in there and he immediately starts making a tunnel out.
Even though it was I thought you said it was made out of stone.
It's made out of stone. Yeah. He starts scratching at the stone with
what?
He's able to pry. He's in chains, right? They chain his hands and his legs, but he's able to pop a piece of the iron off of one of his manacles, and he starts digging at the wall with this tiny little basically a nail. And
oh wow!
He digs 10 feet of tunnels.
How?
And
how?
I don't know. It takes years. I think it takes years.
Wow.
Okay.
So he's in there for years.
He is in there for days and then weeks and months. Can kind of talk out there's a tiny hole where he can talk out to the guards. He ends up, of course, charming some of the guards, and they'll bring him news of what's going on in the world so that he can kind of stay up to date on things. At one point, he finds a guy who's really interested in helping him. Von der Trenck's I need to get to the Austrian embassy. They need to know I'm in here. They got to get me out. That guy is feels like maybe this is okay. Maybe we should at least let the Austrians know that we have him. That guy goes to tell a superior. The superior is a Prussian officer who immediately has von der Trenck chained up more for trying to talk to guards about escaping.
Yeah.
You had mentioned when we, if you look at the Wikipedia entry for this guy, or you search him, there's always pictures of him just bound up in heavy chains in a tiny little room.
Now we know why.
Yes. He is put into this, he calls it the tomb, and he's put in this tomb for almost 10 years. He lives there.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I imagine they they have to have a way to get him food and water.
They do. Yeah. They slide him food and water, but that's it, right?
Yeah. Wow.
And he takes him years to dig that tunnel that they find. Eventually, he's hiding, he's trying to hide his work by stuffing the dirt into his bed. Once he digs through the stone, there's dirt behind it. So he starts digging through that, hides the dirt in his bed. They eventually find that. They close that tunnel up. He makes another tunnel. It collapses on him. Yeah, they keep putting him in bigger chains every time they find him digging a hole, but he keeps doing it. He uses the iron of his manacles. He uses a nail. He uses all this stuff to just try to dig his way out of this tomb. And one crazy thing about von der Trenck is that he never gives up trying to break out of this jail. He's stuck in there, and he's like, I'd have gone crazy if I didn't keep trying. I had to do something. I couldn't just lay here. He says, there's a quote from his autobiography that says, "The heart which submits to sorrow becomes an object of contempt, but that which resists it becomes immortal." And he keeps trying. And after nearly 10 years, in 1763, word comes down that he's going to be released. And it's the Empress of Austria, Maria Theresa. She has, diplomatically managed to find a way to get him released. And von der Trenck is released. He went in there at age 28. He comes out at age 37. Yeah. And she moves him to Austria and sets him up with a little bit of money, and gets him out. Frederick was a very angry person, and he was very angry at Frederick von der Trenck. And he does eventually get, at some point he does kind of get, he figures, I put you in jail for 10 years, like in the most horrible solitary confinement I could think of. I must have broke you. But
then Maria Theresa waves her magic wand, gets him out. And
yep. And the quote from one of the main quotes from Frederick von der Trenck's autobiography is, "The great Frederick, whose power I was not permitted to resist, was yet unable to break my spirit." And he returns to Austria. He doesn't have the big fancy estate anymore, but he does have some money. He becomes a wine merchant. He becomes a wine merchant. He gets married to an Austrian woman. He has 14 kids. And he starts writing.
Do you know how many of them survive past infancy?
I don't know. But
I feel like I should ask. Yeah,
sure. That's one of those questions you got to ask at this time period. He starts writing. He becomes he's a wine merchant, but he also becomes a writer. He writes political pamphlets and essays opposing tyranny and abuse of government power.
Oh, okay. I wonder why.
So people like him, and he comes out, and he is this famous celebrity again, right? This is almost like it was a political prisoner who was imprisoned for dumb reasons, and he's finally out. He gets back into the public eye, and people keep asking him, like, "What's the story? What's your deal?" And so he's like, "All right, fine. You want to know? I'll tell you." And he writes, in 1787, he writes his autobiography, "The Life and Adventures of Baron Trenck."
I bet that sells well.
It's an immediate European international bestseller. Sells out all copies across Europe. It cements his status as a folk hero, a symbol of one man's resistance against tyranny. He was imprisoned in this horrible condition, and he never gave up. This is like a Count of Monte Cristo kind of thing, right? He gets out, and he's like, I resisted, and they could never break my spirit. He says, you can never appreciate your freedom enough. So he starts writing all of this stuff. So one great thing about this, and the reason it took von der Trenck so long to write this book, it's like it didn't take him a long time to write it. He releases it in 1787 because Frederick the Great dies in 1786. So he waited for Frederick the Great to be dead before he published this thing.
Probably a smart move.
Yes, that was definitely a good move. But it does kind of end up being like further posthumous embarrassment to Frederick the Great. Like, I can humiliate you now again, and I will.
Wow. Oh, so he has the last laugh.
He does.
Yeah.
And so he becomes this big celebrity. He's still schmoozing with royalty and aristocracy. He's rich. He's, he does kind of carry a lot of scars, physical and emotional, from his imprisonment that they never kind of, you get the sense from his book that those never really went away. Although he does find peace, and he finds love, and he finds success and money. And he becomes a really well-known author and really well-known adventurer from this time period. And his stories, they're published in German. There's actually a really well-known German TV series about him from like the 80s and 90s. But it's largely unknown outside of this time period in this part of the world. But he becomes this big celebrity. Now, the story ends on kind of an ironic twist.
Oh.
So in 1794, the French Revolution is happening, and Frederick von der Trenck is a really well-known, like, anti-monarchist, anti-government, or tyranny writer. And he decides he wants to go to Paris to see what's going on with this French Revolution thing. He wants to check it out. And he goes there in July of 1794 and is talking around, asking people about stuff. The French government, or the Robespierre's guys, they accuse him of being an Austrian spy, and they arrest him. And yes, he is executed by guillotine on July 25th, 1794, at the age of 68. And he's killed 2 days before the end of the Reign of Terror. So his death kind of marks the end of the Reign of Terror. And just kind of wild that he spent his whole life resisting monarchy, and he's killed in the French Revolution. Although I guess if you've got to go, guillotine's not so bad. It's kind of a dramatic way to go.
Yeah,
it's very dramatic, at least.
Yeah. And he's left his autobiography, and I mean,
yeah, and he's this kind of symbol of resistance, and has this crazy story of being this very daring, dashing, it's like whatever, sex and violence and prison escapes. He has this time period where he is imprisoned, and it is very brutal for him. But then when he comes out, he still kind of becomes this celebrity again and regains his life, and then that's the way. I think
it's about more than just his exploits. He also has, he also has ideas to share.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he just. If the mantra for Badass of the Week is never give up, this guy. Oh no,
he does not give up.
Not once, right? Didn't give up when his king told him to end his romance. He didn't give up when he didn't give up when he was imprisoned multiple times.
Yeah, he didn't give up when they took away his little iron shackle digging spoon or whatever.
Yes, he never gave up trying to dig out of that tunnel for 10 years, and. That's the legacy that he leaves behind. His book is called The Life and Adventures of Baron von der Trenck, and it's definitely worth reading because it's really interesting. And he's just a guy who was badass and did badass stuff and never gave up even when things were really, really as dark as they could possibly be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you for that story, Ben. I had no idea. I'd never heard of this guy, and yeah.
It's a wild ride.
Very wild ride, yeah.
Okay. Well,
Frederick von der Trenck, yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you for coming and listening to it. I appreciate it. Thank you for helping me tell the story. I felt like it was a pretty fun one, and
it was fun. I can confirm. Yes.
Okay. And thank you guys out there for listening to it. We always love having you here to listen to our stories, and we hope you like them. If you do, please like and subscribe, send us messages, all that sort of stuff. You can find us at badassoftheweek.com. So thanks, and we will see you on the next episode.
Stay badass.
Badass of the Week is produced by High Five Content. Executive producers are me, Ben Thompson, Dr. Patricia Larish, and Andrew Jacobs. Writing is by me and Pat. Story editing by Ian Jacobs. Mixing and music and sound design by Jude Brewer. Special thanks to Noel Brown at iHeartRadio. Badass of the Week is based on my website, badassoftheweek.com, where you can read all sorts of stories about other badasses. If you want to reach out with questions or ideas, you can email us at badasspodcast@badassoftheweek.com. If you like this podcast, please subscribe, follow, listen, and tell your friends and tell your enemies. And please leave us a rating. We'll be back next week with another one.